Trump threatens to murder a foreign leader if that leader kills the citizens of another country. Did you see this? This was just on Truth Social. This post by Trump, I write, reveals yet again the servile nature the United States has with Israel. Kill their citizens, kill Israeli citizens, and America will kill you. I want you to reflect upon Ted Cruz saying, we are bombing Iran. We. Who is he talking about? Our elected officials, for reasons we will talk about and have talked about, view the United States and Israel as one entity. The same thing. And so does Trump. If you kill Israeli citizens, that is tantamount, maybe even worse, than killing American citizens. And if you do that, you kill the citizens of Israel, another country. America, he says, and with a chorus of politicians, will kill you, the leader of another country. I finish up with this. There is no America without the white race. To fail to put us first is treason. Now, how many folks out there felt when they got to that sentence a record skip? If you did, it's because your focus is in the wrong place. That next sentence, that third sentence here, there is no America without the white race. To fail to put us first is treason, is the perfect sentence to follow what you just heard me read. Trump threatens to murder a foreign leader if that leader kills the citizens of another country. This post by Trump reveals the servile nature the United States has with Israel. Kill their citizens, and America will kill you. The incorrect focus is on Jews. We'll be saying this until white people get this right and we save ourselves from oblivion. No matter how many midwits out there get this wrong, I won't be stopped. I have been in the white sympathetic sphere for a very long time. In fact, there's videos getting produced all the time of here are all the reasons why the Jews are bad. Those videos were abundant when I got involved in the white sympathetic sphere. Now, over 3 decades, have they done any good? Were things better 30 years ago than they are now? Videos like that were abundant 30 years before that and 30 years before that. Not only were those videos abundant, they were maybe even more abundant. And more importantly, they had a better population in the United States, indeed across the West, to make the appeal to. In the United States, of course, that many years back, we had a population of 90+% white. Your population not only was 90+% white, maybe 91%. Check it out for yourself and make sure I'm right, because you never know with these anti-whites. But they were healthier white people. Genetically, they were even healthier, but mentally and spiritually healthier than today, as a consequence of the advance of anti-whiteism. So you had a healthier, genetically, mentally, spiritually white race up in the 90 percentile range of the population to appeal to. And yet, despite all of the videos of complaint about this group of people, we're still here today. We still are at this point now where the politicians, there's nothing hidden here. Trump is outright saying, Ted Cruz is outright saying, when he talks about Israel, he says us. Don't miss that. I know that Tucker wanted to have a big news moment where, are you revealing that the U.S., because we're the U.S., right? But the reality, of course, is that when Ted Cruz is talking about Israel, he's talking about us. When so many of these others are talking about Israel, including Donald Trump, they're talking about us. Killing Israeli citizens, every bit as bad, at least in Donald Trump's mind, as killing American citizens. Time to go to war and murder the leader of another country. Time to drop a Moab, the equivalent of an atomic bomb, on another country. How could we get here where it's out in the open with all of the comic book reams of Jewish characters and all of the research and all of the videos dissecting all of the participants and all of the doom that they cause? I mean, what do you need? You need more of that? You need more of what's been failing? But Jason, you got to know the problem to address it. My friends, that's midwittery. If that were the problem, it would have been addressed. If that were the problem, if that were the way to fix our issues and recapture our destiny, it would have been fixed. We would have our destiny. These appeals, the biggest flaw to the appeals, and there are numerous, and I will take down and can take down anybody on this with a reasonable audience to determine who is right and who is wrong. I'm not going to get in front of an audience of a bunch of low IQ'd, midget-witted J-Spurgs and have them decide who won the conversation, who won the debate. Are you kidding me? You all must think I'm as dumb as you look. That must not be, this complaining about these people must not be the path to the recapture of our destiny, to ending our victimization. And here's the big flaw that I'm going to mention, of the great many flaws, big flaws, little flaws with this argument. The presupposition, the presumption, the unspoken premise to the argument is that the white race is a people for and to whom you can make an argument about danger to then be considered by that people for the veracity or the level of threat, should action be taken. That premise, that unspoken premise, is wrong. It is colossally wrong. It is Mount St. Helens wrong. There is no white people, white tribe to make this appeal to. What you have with the white race are selfish individualists. And to various degrees, you have some that feel a little bit more of identity with their, certainly here, a great deal of white identity, white peoplehood. But we are the infinite minority of the white population. The actual response you get from the white race when you go to them and you tell them that there is this, the implication is omnipotent, omniscient, ubiquitous, omnipresent threat, is to take out their resumes. They don't evaluate the threat for, is this a danger to my people? Because they don't have a people. Literally 100 years of failing at this garbage is enough. Now, saying this doesn't mean that there aren't anti-white Jews in the world. There clearly are. It just means that talking about anti-white Jews doesn't recapture our destiny, not even remotely. If that many generations of failure isn't enough for you, then you should starch yourself. There are many ways to do this. Don't tell me about it. But there are many ways to deal with this if you are this dumb. The reason why you'll have just heard me say it, why this argument about just endlessly talk about anti-white Jews seems persuasive to people who are content creators and who are their hangers on. The reason why it sounds persuasive to them is because they are selfish individualists and they feel injured as an individual for the successes, for the domination, for the etc. by a percentage of Jews. So your first problem is that you have to deal with your selfish individualism. Don't tell me, because you have all the failure, you have a history of failure. Don't tell me, well, it will be good for the white race sometime down the road. We even played a video of one of these pro-white leaders saying that the well-being of white people is a secondary or tertiary result of getting rid of the Jews. Somehow this guy's able to say that on YouTube too, by the way. Kind of interesting, isn't it? No. Your focus has to be on us, our victimization, our identity, knowing the names of our victims. This is what percentages of other groups do, and is the reason why, to various degrees, they have success superior to ours. And indeed, we have no success outside of being white positive. So if you want this relationship to be broken between the United States and Israel, it will happen when the white race becomes a people. When we become a people, we will exert the influence that a percentage of that group exerts over our government. You cannot, I've been here, like I say, 3 decades, and I've been hearing people give the same wish list. We have to kick AIPAC out. Well, tell the oceans and the tides where to stop. We've got to get rid of the Jews. Well, that's not happening. Not in your lifetime. Not by any conceivable means. Irrespective of the other questions associated with that statement. Well, AIPAC they have to be registered as a 30 years I've been hearing that. The influence of AIPAC has grown. They are more powerful, not less. Your argument, if you disagree, your argument isn't with me. It's with 100 years of failing. Now, attendant to this is Laura Loomer, who was this big figure. She's big, she's obnoxious, and she is anti-white. Now, maybe Zionism could exist in a jungle somewhere and not intersect the white race and causing us victimization, interfering with our identity, and even recruiting from our population for the well-being of another group of people. Maybe it could exist in a parallel universe and not be anti-white. But the reality is, wherever it exists relative to white people, it's always anti-white. It never works to the benefit of white people because it's working to the benefit of Jewish people and specific Jewish Zionists. I mean, I guess they really enjoy it. So Laura Loomer has been giddy with the United States participation and with Israel against Iran and the threats against Iran. I want to put this up on the screen. What I wrote to her. She says in her tweet, America first is whatever Donald Trump says it is. Now that's convenient for Laura Loomer, isn't it? Because Trump is going right along with Israel. So it's convenient to say it's whatever he says it is. Do you think she really means it? Or do you think that statement is dependent upon whether or not America first is serving Jewish interests, and in particular, Zionist Jewish, Israeli Jewish interests, and maybe even in particular, the Likud party? I'm not in their population. I'm not interested in their population. I'm interested in ours. I'm interested in ending our victimization. I don't follow these people around. But when they are anti-white, I immediately identify, recognize, and identify. So here you have Laura Loomer, who is now conveniently saying that Trump decides what America first is. And what is she talking about that statement relative to? That's really important to think about, isn't it? What is she thinking about that statement? What's it relative to? The confluence of the United States and Israel, the well-being of Israel, the well-being of Israelis, maybe the empowerment of Israelis, maybe the empowerment of Jews generally, or certain groups of Jews. That's what she means. So for Laura Loomer, never forget, America first never meant America. Because I write here at the bottom of my response, which I'll read in whole in a moment, Loomer would burn the Stars and Stripes if it didn't serve her people. Never forget that. Loomer would burn the Stars and Stripes in a heartbeat if it didn't serve her people. So when she says America first, when she flies the Stars and Stripes, when she is showing pride, it's not like your pride. It's not like your patriotism, because it's dependent on service to her people. And you know what? That is a beautiful thing. That is exactly how we should behave. America is the white race. It doesn't exist without us. So if it's not serving our interest, it is treason. If it's not doing for us, it needs to be changed. The leadership needs to be changed. The notions that people communicate in society, moral, social, ethical, otherwise, need to be changed. So when I fly the American flag, the Stars and Stripes American flag, it is dependent on it serving my people's well-being and interests. Just like it's dependent for Laura Loomer. This is what many Jews, such as America Firster Laura Loomer, I write, feel constitute America first. American nationalism, patriotism, obsequious and unflinching service to Israel. They'll feed you some spurious, this is why it's in your interest. For those white people out there to jump into what I wrote, who are a bit intractable, they're a bit recalcitrant. They're like, but wait, I know you're God's chosen. You've told me enough. All of the preachers and priests and deacons, popes, they've all told me. But really, how does this serve our interest, and why should I get excited? Well, people like Loomer will give you some spurious interests or arguments about why it's in your interest. But the arguments are clearly fallible. They're clearly fraudulent. They're clearly sophistical, double dealing, duplicitous. It's clearly, you clearly see somebody as you're watching with Netanyahu with his pathetic used car salesman appeals to the population, an effort to bamboozle a population, to trick them into something. The American people, I write, won't get anything out of this. White man, focus on our race. Again, if you have your focus in the wrong place, this sentence here would be like a record skip for you. Aren't you supposed to go into how all Jews are bad and they should all be hated because of the way they were born? No, absolutely not. The focus should be on us. White man, focus on our race, our injuries, our needs, with as much fervor as some Jews focus on theirs. And this will end, not before. Individualism in a world of collectives is suicide. Repeat that 100 times when we're done here today, if it hasn't set firmly in your head so that you own it. You can bring it to your mind while you dream. Individualism in a world of collectives is suicide. And this is the biggest display of that eternal axiom that could ever be displayed. A group of people far smaller than our own. And not only that, but a percentage of a group of people. So you have a group of people far smaller than our own, and then a percentage of that people are and function as an actual people, a tribe. What does it mean? That's an important question and answer when you're trying to figure out how do we become a people, a tribe. What is a tribe? It is this: your individual well-being by way of your group's well-being. Individual well-being by way of your group's well-being. White people need to stop complaining when Bill Ackman, the billionaire, shows up at Columbia, where, as I understand, unless somebody was to correct me, there were others, we can name others. If he actually graduated from Columbia, I didn't, dig into his entire life, but I recall reading and them saying that he was not a graduate. He didn't graduate from Columbia, doesn't have nieces or nephews or children that go to Columbia, doesn't know other Jews that go to Columbia. But Bill Ackman showed up to shake down, along with other billionaire Jews and millionaire Jews and middle-income Jews and artistic Jews and Jews in the Department of Justice and Jews in etc. They showed up to shake down Columbia. How dare you allow criticism of Jews? How dare you allow Jews to be intimidated? How dare you be anti-Semitic? How dare you do that? How dare you permit it? They were achieving their individual well-being by way of their group well-being. My friends, that's a beautiful thing. If you complain about that behavior, you're a non-starter. You're pedaling without a chain. You're never going to achieve anything, because that is the behavior we have to emulate. And you will never emulate a behavior that you have condemned. Same holds true for other groups of peoples. Percentages of the overall groups do this beautiful thing, which empowers all of them as a consequence, whether they are behaving in a similar fashion or not. So if you felt like, after I talked here about Laura Loomer and her definition of what America First means, if you felt like the natural next step was to go on doom documenting all the things that anti-white Jews have ever done, and then dissect it all for all the Jews who were ever, anti-white Jews who were ever behind it, then you've got a lot of growth ahead of you. If you want to survive, if you want our people, if you want the victimization to end. We talked on Sunday briefly. I gave an example of a white girl who goes to the mall and gets raped by a black guy. If we were behaving as a people, well, before we go there, behaving as we do now, what's going to be the biggest content creators, so-called pro-white content creators? What's going to be their response? Org leaders. It's going to be to talk about blacks, their rape rate, their criminality rate, their inability to restrain themselves for something better in the future. It's going to be an examination of what blacks have built in Africa and what they have built in Jamaica or haven't built. It's going to go on ad infinitum, ad nauseum about blacks. What happens in that environment at the mall? Does it get any better for white people? No. Here is how the white race would react if we acted like a people. After the rape, poor white people, wealthy white people, artistic white people, lawyer white people, business owner white people, they would be showing up to pressure all of the stores, the owner of the mall itself, to demand apologies, to demand greater security, to demand specific protection for the white race, since we are clearly hunted, to demand a security service, that the owner of the mall create a security service specifically for this hunted white race. And if we did that, if even a portion of our race behaved as a people, that would happen at the mall. Then there would be no more rapes of white girls at the mall. What else might the white people do? They might go to the mall owner and say, you know what? We enjoy this mall, but you have this store, whatever, in the mall. And that store attracts ne'er-do-wells, rappers, wannabe gangsters. You had better break your contract with that business and throw them out of the mall, because white people are not safe here. And we will sue, and we will march, and we won't shop here. We'll put up signs on the highways where you don't own, on property that you don't own. A white guy up on the hill owns the property there, little house. He's already agreed for a sign to be built that says that this mall isn't safe for white people. And we've got the money already put together. In fact, we got a white contractor who says he'll do the work for free. Just buy the material. What do you think the owner of the mall would do? What would happen as a consequence to the safety of the white race at the mall? What outcome do you want? The outcome where we, including our white girls, are safe at the mall? Or the outcome where you feel in private with certain people terribly justified about bad-mouthing blacks? Oh, the rapes continue. The mall continues to go downhill. The stores start leaving because of the violence. And then your local community mall, after more rapes and murders and muggings and theft, goes bankrupt and then starts to get filled up with hobos and vagrants and MS-13. Yes, but you get to feel terribly justified with a couple of groups of people that you can talk this way to. What outcome do you want? Well, Laura Loomer's clan, her tribe, her specific percentage of the overall population of Jews that she and they act in this beautiful way, they get what they want, even to the point of government officials saying we when they're talking about Israel acting, even to the point where the president, supposedly the most pro-American president since George Washington, said that if you kill their citizens, he will kill you. Which path? Which way, Westman?